Right then, welcome back to the channel. You're probably thinking, no review yesterday, Steve. No, there wasn't. Paddock kicked off at 12:15, and I don't review games that I don't watch. So, I'll certainly, if I get the opportunity to watch it quickly after it's ended, I'll do that. But I didn't get a chance to review the game or to watch the game until late last night. So, I was thinking I'll go live after I've reviewed it, but honestly, it was such a bore fest. I was like, I'll just do 5 things instead. So is that all right with you? 5 things we learned. Still the original and best. Often imitated. Never bettered. But it's 5 things that we learned with United Everton. So number 1, nothing has changed. United win, United lose, United draw, United play badly. It's very consistent. You have to say that. We look as bad as we have done every single week. Everton was never the game that was going to make that change, but you do hope that you can maybe start to limit the shots and start to maybe exhibit some sort of presence on the ball and sort of like ability with the ball. And we did neither. We looked shell-shocked again. We allowed another ridiculous number of shots. We are literally now, like, it's an embarrassing number of shots United have conceded across the entire season. But the same problems are arising game after game after game. And you think, okay, crucial areas of the pitch still getting left open. You know, we're defending in a certain, like, we come away with a clean sheet. I don't want to put too negative a spin on this, but you watch that game and it's very, very hard to sit here and be like, oh, everything's fine. Because everything isn't fine. You know, and you're doing everybody a disservice if you sit here and say everything's fine. You know, we got to figure out where it's going wrong. Some people are just literally going to comment, it's the manager. I don't necessarily agree with that, because if it was the manager, why did he get it so right last year? So what's changed? We have to figure out what has changed. Righty folks, let's get real for a second. You are probably as bored of churning out the same old grub every single night as I am. If you fancy shaking things up a little bit without having to faff about too much, you are in luck, because HelloFresh have decided to sponsor this video. HelloFresh have got these calorie smart dishes that won't have you overdoing it. They're all under 650 calories. They've got veggie options that are actually full of taste. It's all about making your life that little bit easier without having to munch on something that tastes like cardboard. HelloFresh reckon they can make your life a little bit less dull with their meal ideas. You've got family-friendly stuff, you've got decent treats, and you're not stuck eating the same thing every single night because you can't be bothered figuring out something new. I hate the whole palaver of figuring out what we're going to have tonight, and then you've got to go to the shop and grab it all. With HelloFresh, it's a little bit of a doddle. The recipes don't make your head spin, and the food's actually good. They drop off all these chef-picked recipes every single week, and it comes to your door direct from the growers, and they're not messing the planet out with loads of packaging either. Now here's the kicker, they're not just giving us a little bit of a bone, they're giving us a proper deal. Hit the link below or throw in the code Howson60, that's HOWSON 60, and you're looking at 60% off your first box, plus 20% off for the next 2 months, and they're gonna throw in a freebie on top of that as well. So what's stopping you? Ditch the dinner time deja vu, give HelloFresh a go, tap the link, scan the QR code, get a bit adventurous with your meals. Big thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Let's go check them out. Number 2. Garnacho had a good game. Now, I think he's been, inconsistent would be the fairest way I could say this over the last few weeks. Some of his decision making has been real bad, but he was extremely direct in the game. Even though his decision making is still not perfect, he made up for it by just that desire. And you know, he wins 2 penalties. They've never been more stonewall penalties that I've ever seen. You know, so some people will make a lot about the fact that he wins 2 penalties, but ultimately he was fouled twice inside the box. That's 2 penalties all day long. Rashford was active maybe in the first half, fell off in the second half. But you know, we saw Garnacho driving the ball forward, getting into good areas. Marcus at times in the first half was doing similar. Did well with his penalty, as did Bruno. But the second half, I don't know what happened with Rashford, at least in the second half. What else was good to see with Garnacho was his willingness to track back and defend, and his fight. And I think when things aren't going well, you want to see fight out your players. That's always something to see. That being said, the bar for man of the match is fucking low, and performances like that still don't warrant good results, or still will ultimately not yield good results. I've said it so many times, I'm almost sick of hearing myself saying it, but ultimately you will fall to the sort of aggregate of your performance. If your performances are good, and that's why I have to acknowledge Arsenal are playing well at the moment. Their performances are good. Why are they good? Well, they're creating a lot of chances and they're not conceding a lot of chances. They're very dominant with the ball and they're exploiting things in very key areas of the pitch, which leads to them to getting a lot of shots. And then they also win the ball really well in key areas, and they limit the amount of chances they allow the opposition, which is something that United... Oh, it's like United have got fucking odds on how many shots we're going to concede. It's 20 plus again. It's insane. Anyway, number 3, Casemiro. The decline with Casemiro is real. A lot of people aren't going to want to admit it, but his decline is becoming quite damning. And he was excellent last season, so people were like, oh, you weren't saying this last season? No, I wasn't. I also don't say it's Sunday when it's Monday, because things change. Yesterday he had a pass accuracy of 76%, which feels generous because of the amount of times it was watching him give the ball away in build-up. Now, people will go, oh, you don't have a problem with Bruno giving the ball away. Generally, I don't, because Bruno is trying to force chance creation, which he did 5 chances he created yesterday, which is a serious number of chances in a single game. And he's doing it in and around the opposition third. That's where you require a little bit more risk. In the middle third and in your own third, risk is not your friend. And Casemiro played with a little bit too much risk. And actually, risk would imply that there was something being tried. It felt like it was just sloppy and careless, especially in the first half. Those numbers are terrible for a midfielder that's supposed to be the one that's composure and class on the ball, because he was anything but. His experience saved him a few times, but he was still diving in and getting caught out. I don't know if his legs have gone or if he's mentally just checked out and decided that he wants a holiday home in Riyadh. I have no idea. Big consideration for Ineos. In fact, you know what? It's not a big consideration. I think on the current performances, unless there's 10 weeks of absolutely stellar performances from Casemiro, then his wages will warrant that he has moved on. Number 4. James Garner. What might have been, it felt like it was hasty getting rid of James Garner, and the money that we allowed him to go for was embarrassing. And he was always a player that stood out at United. He was a leader. He captained United at every single age group. And he's a good lad. His loan spell at Forest had us all giddy at the player that he could become. We actually saw a lot more of an attacking footballer at Nottingham Forest than now at Everton. He's really doing kind of the opposite side of the game, the real dirty side of the game. In hindsight, letting him go to Everton for the money he went might have been a little bit hasty. Maybe a 1 or 2 year loan in the Premier League might have done him good, because right now he's a £30 million midfielder minimum. But he was the most composed in Everton's midfield. You can see what he brings. He really, he really brings a level of composure and quality on the ball. He walked off the pitch with 94% pass accuracy, which is insane in a Sean Dyche team. I don't necessarily think he would have started every single week for United, but in the current situation we find ourselves in, he would be starting now. And he was always a better footballer than McTominay, so I don't know. It's one of them, I think, isn't it? What might have been. Top 4's a mountain to climb. As we're recording this, Villa and Spurs hasn't finished yet, so I don't know how that game's going to go. It's hard to even suggest which of those teams is the most catchable in it. I guess we don't want Villa to get too far away, so a Spurs win probably would be the best option for us. It was always going to be difficult, and even when we went on that little unbeaten run with a semi-decent 11, the performances just haven't deserved to get top 4. We've played one more game than Villa, currently 8 points behind them, played 2 more games than Spurs, and we're 3 behind them. And on a performance point of view and momentum point of view, we don't look like catching either of them. But then at the same time, I don't think we're worth catching either of them. If we did, it'd be a disservice to them. The scoreline flattered against Everton. as it so often does. All I've wanted all season is a good performance, and I think we've had 3 off the top of my head, which is nowhere near enough for a season, is it? It's a lot of work to do. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. I'm back on Vibe with 5 tomorrow. I'll catch you then. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.